Well, this could very easily, according to me, be the book of the year, Sarita Mandana's Tiger Hills. And I have the lovely lady sitting right beside me. She's a daughter of Coorg. So the book is just so redolent, you know, of that atmosphere. You can just, you feel like you're almost there when you're reading the book. She is also an equity professional. She's right now based in Canada. And I find it, I just don't understand how you were able to compartmentalize.
You know, I wanted to and I had to. Because writing the book, I was very determined not to let it kind of impinge on my, you know, my job, my career during the day as well. Because I kind of wrote into a vacuum. It wasn't that I had kind of an advance contract signed up. I was doing this purely because I really wanted to, you know. So it was, when it was such a personal undertaking, I wanted to make sure that I maintained my professionalism during the day. So I had to kind of shut down the mental flaps and kind of, you know, switch entirely to work during the day. And then doing it the other way around, I think, was more challenging, kind of switching from the work week into the novel. There would be times of, you know, a lot of angst and frustration where I tried to kind of enter this kind of old historic world and kind of ignore the sirens in the street below and forget that I was living and working in New York.
You know, because your characters are so strong and so powerful, did they stay with you when you were in the office? How were you able
no,
to
again, I had to. I just had to. I mean, like, even if I found myself kind of drifting into that, I would just, you know, shut myself off. You have to compartmentalize, otherwise you're not going to be effective at work. And, you know, I loved all my characters. Obviously, I think every author kind of falls a little bit in love with, you know, each of her characters. So there was a great deal of fondness, but at the same time, I mean, very much so when I set out to work, I mean, on my way I used to walk to work. So I used to tell myself, fine, I have up until I enter kind of the building. Once I'm there, you're done. You know, you're not talking anymore in my head. But all that way through, I'd be walking and I'd be completely lost in my own head.
You're not from a family of writers, you're from a family of readers, yes? So did you know you were going to become one?
No, and actually my grandfather, my paternal grandfather, actually wrote a small memoir on his mother, my great-grandmother. And he kind of got that self-published and circulated that somewhat. So I think, I mean, maybe he was, you know, he did have ambitions of writing at some point, I suppose. I never thought I would be one.
How did the thought sort of come into your mind
Yeah, it was
at
interesting.
all?
I thought I would write at some point, but it was very much kind of, you know, one of those one day, someday I'll sit down and write, and purely for my own pleasure. And then there was a point in New York about 6 or 7 years ago where I think I was just, things weren't going terribly well. I mean, at work, personally, and I really wanted some kind of a creative outlet. And, you know, my sister, my mother and I mean, we paint. It is somewhat of a creative family. And at that point I said, you know what, I'm just going to write. Let me just start writing and see where this goes. I'll write a short story. That's how I started. And
Are your short stories published?
I wrote about 6 or 7 and I showed them around and people kind of said, you know, you would be better served kind of writing a debut novel itself. A couple of my stories I sent them to a local publisher in Bangalore called Unison Publishing. They were coming up with an anthology, so they were published, I think, back in 2003 or 4. But then after that, that project was shelved.
But you know, I think after the book now, there might be a sort of a interest in your short stories, don't you think?
There were just a couple that were published. I mean, I have a lot of unpublished material, and, you know, yeah, maybe I will dust those off and see if there's anything worth kind of bringing out into the sunlight again. We'll see.
So do you think that, I know you're working on something new, you were telling me earlier, so do you think that, I mean, this sets the bar really high?
I don't know, I think maybe it's just personality, but, you know,
What's your next book about?
I mean, the next book is something very different. It's different in period, different in setting, and it's so different that I'm still researching it to make sure that I can write about it with some degree of authority and that there is enough in there to actually warrant a full-blown novel. As far as expectations are concerned, I think, I mean, if you let any of that kind of impinge upon your craft, it taints the whole process somewhat. I mean, you really have to write the story that you most want to tell and something that resonates with you. And again, just write in a vacuum, you know, write until the story really kind of sings to you. And anything other than that is, I think it feels contrived and it feels kind of manipulated, and that's. So to cut a long story short, no, I don't feel pressured in any form or fashion.
You know, you don't look crabby at all. The fact that you spent many nights with just many days with just 4 hours.
Oh, you haven't seen me during that time. I think I was, you know, literally, I think there were screws coming loose and wires getting crossed. And no, at that point, I think it really definitely told, you know, it took a toll on my personality. My memory was shot to pieces. I could not remember anything. And I think my stock line with family and friends was, I don't have the bandwidth. So whatever you're telling me, just so you know, I'm not going to remember it. I cannot, you know, I can barely process it. I was hardly social. I mean, because there was no time, I gave up everything to the exclusion of kind of, finishing this. And towards the end, I think, I mean, I really became a little odd, and it's now a process of kind of socializing and kind of.
So do you think that since you went through that with your next book, you'll be able to sort of work on a different regimen? Is that possible? No, I think when you're writing, you just have to go with the flow.
I think you have to go with the
Yeah.
flow. I mean, and there were times even while writing Tiger Hills, I remember there was one point where I had stretched myself so thin that, there was a period of about 2 months where I would sit at my laptop and not a word would come. I mean, I literally was burned out. And then again, I mean, the process just picked up again. And I wrote very much to the dictate of the story, the diktat of the story itself. So even at night, sometimes I would write 4 or 5 hours at a stretch, and sometimes I would sleep for an hour because nothing was happening, and I would wake up with a start, have this eureka moment and just kind of fire up my laptop and start writing. And then I'd call home at all these odd hours to kind of, clarify something, and my mother would get so distressed saying, "Why aren't you sleeping?" I'm saying, yes, leave that aside, but whatever. So you just write, the story just takes a hold of you, and you just have to do it, you're just very much in the flow of that.
If you don't read this book, Tiger Hills by Sarita Mandana, you are really missing something. So will you sign in the book for me?
I would be more than happy to.
Yeah,
and again, thank you again for having me on the show. I'm so happy you enjoyed the book. It makes me very happy.
That's my gift to all my girlfriends. Really, it is quite incredible. So you should go and get your copy while I get my book signed. Thanks for joining us, Sarita Mandana.
Pleasure kind of meeting you as well, and I hope you enjoy the book.